Sure.
We talked a lot about your book, and I'm just curious, how did the whole book thing happen? So,
Oh my goodness. I have the best book story ever. Because I had this blog and I had all this, suddenly I had all this notoriety. I'm on all these media outlets and people are writing articles about me. And just because I'm a fat runner, it was a story, that people were interested in. So I got contacted by two literary agents, and one of them, they're like, we really love your blog. Are you considering writing a book? And I had always been considering writing a memoir of some sort because I've always been a writer. And, I wrote for my college paper. I wrote for some magazines after I graduated from college. And so they're like, hey, let's do it. I'm like, okay. And I didn't have to send out any queries. I didn't have to do any of that other work that most people have to do. And so I signed with this one agent who happened to be Barack Obama's first literary agent.
Holy shit! Okay.
And yeah. And so I went to work. They got my proposal together and they sold my book to a publisher, and then I had 4.5 months to write my book.
Okay.
And so I wrote it, and that was the easy part.
Okay.
The not easy part was the editing, and because it's like really deflates your ego.
Okay. How does it work? How does the editing process work for someone who hasn't written a book?
Yeah. I'm sorry. What was that?
How does the whole editing process work for those who haven't written the book?
Okay. So you write your 65,000 words. In my case, I wrote 110,000 words. And so like you go, the first part of the editorial process is where you work with a developmental editor. And they're the people that work with the voice. They work with making your ideas more cohesive. And, I know I'm a good writer. Like I've always known that I'm a good writer, but like, you can always be better. You can always hone your craft. And that's what this person does. And, they tear it apart. They're not mean, but they're very clinical. Again, they look at it and like, this could be better if you did this. If you took this whole 200 pages out, if you took this, this whole chapter and reworked it and made this as your theme, because it seems like it's your theme, but it really isn't now, but we're going to work on it to make it better. And it really, sometimes it kills your spirit, but you're like, oh, like when you're done through the process, you're like, oh, wow, that's what it could be, and so, but it's exhausting. And the editorial process took, I want to say, I started writing the book in May of 2016. And then I submitted it October 28th, 2016, the manuscript, got it back right before Thanksgiving, November 23rd or something like that. And I couldn't look at it because I was too scared to open. I was too scared to open up the editor's version. And then suddenly
they cut it into pieces for you, or they do like the editing, so they take out stuff and say, no, that's
no,
gotta go.
They don't take out. I mean, they write notes on everything. So now we have track changes in Word, in Word, Microsoft Word.
That's like all red. It comes back all red.
Highlight something and it's all red. Everything is highlighted, and there are these little notes for every single thing. Hey, this would be better if you use this other word. Or occasionally I really love this paragraph, and it just, everything about it means, you're like, thank God. And then the next paragraph is like, please remove this paragraph. It doesn't make any sense. So, it's like an up and down. It's a constant roller coaster of emotions. And so that's that. And then after that, that's the first editorial pass. And that's the hardest because you're dealing with all of the major things. And then so you fix it. They give you a couple of weeks to fix it. And then you go through another editorial pass, and then they give you they give you a few days to fix it.
Okay.
And it's very stressful, because I was also teaching and working at my job. Is also racing, doing marathons, and doing speaking engagements and doing like photo shoots, and then the third editorial pass from the developmental editor is just like, okay, let's just fix up these few things. It looks great. Then they send it to a copy editor.
Okay.
No. Then they send it to they have a legal read. And so a lawyer reads it just to make sure that all of your quotes are You're allowed to use the quotes that you use, and you're allowed, like when you speak about people, I had to get permission from my son.
Oh, really?
To write about him. Yeah.
Okay.
I had to put him on the phone with a lawyer. And he goes, yes, I give her verbal consent. He was 13. I was like, you can't give me verbal consent.
So I can give you consent to give him the verbal consent.
Like, I give you consent to live. So, and then it goes through a copy editor. So it's a lot of steps. And then there's a final editorial process, and that was twice with the acquisitions editor who reads the entire book, and then asks some big questions, and then they do the final read. I get the final read, and I get to make any last minute changes that I want and that I need, and then I can't touch it anymore.
Okay.
And that's scary. When you can't, because I read the book now, I'm like, oh, I would have done that differently.
And you start questioning yourself, probably. Is that the case?
Yeah.
Okay.
So but it was really cool. Like, it's like, holy crap! Not everybody gets to write a book. Not everybody gets, or people do write books and then they don't get published.
Yeah, I mean, most of the books written just they end up in like nowhere. It's like right. They sell like 5 copies to their friends, and then that's it, and then they're
right. And then, like, people are still buying my book. Like, I get a message every day. Oh, I'm on chapter 3 of your book. I'm on chapter 19 of your book. And I love when you talk about the Marine Corps Marathon and, and it's a really cool process. And I'm like I'm about to write my proposal for my second book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And which will be on adventure.
Say it again?
Because I'm utilizing adventure.
Adventure. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you've seen my Instagram lately, but I've been trying a lot of new sports. Surfing, mountain biking.
Yeah, I saw
skiing,
the
snowboarding. Rock climbing.
What do you say about that? Like that surf instructor looking at your ass all day long, basically.
And I had to apologize. I'm like, sorry.
Enjoy the view, but well.
And it's funny because it was hilarious. That was hilarious and very life-changing experience. Are you a surfer at all?
Oh no. We don't even have like sea in Switzerland. So
if you ever have a chance to go, I don't know if like in the Mediterranean anywhere or. To go to like a Caribbean island or Hawaii or Costa Rica. This like after running, if like when I can't run anymore, I'm gonna surf because there's so many. It's just such an amazing. I love water. Any sort of water sports I love, and I didn't think I could do it. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do it. I'm gonna go anyway. I'm just gonna roll with it. And I got up on the board the first day, and it's like all these metaphors for life on the surfboard, and it's just like an incredible thing. But like the surf instructor guy, he was the head of all of the instructors, and very calm, very sort of like even measured and very young, and I'm like, I gotta listen to this young guy, but really, just really good at what he did, and I was like, oh, sorry, sometimes like my bathing suit would malfunction in the front, and things would pop out, and he's like, that's okay, it's Costa Rica, it happens all the time. And it was just such a chill experience.
So he got the full experience.
I never felt like stigmatized as a larger person out there, and it's an incredible sport. You should definitely try it. Like, and if you say you have a little girl.
We have 3 little girls.
3 little girls. Yeah. Oh my God, I have 1, and I can barely take care of him. But it's an amazing sport for kids.
Okay.
Like it makes you feel so powerful and incredible and like and truly connected with nature and nature.
Okay, yeah. Well, we actually try next time. We're going on holiday somewhere. I'm just miserable at water sports, and I tried water skiing a few times. I just failed. Like I couldn't get up on those damn things. So
you know what? Surfing is way easier.
Okay. I like that. I'll try. I'll make it. I'll try. I'll let you know how it goes.
Right. Okay. Good luck.
Yeah, and so going back to the book. So then, how when we were done? I mean, it became a best-selling book.
It became an Amazon bestseller. Actually, up until like 2 weeks ago, it was on the it was like one of like the number 1 bestsellers on.
Nope. Now the connection dropped.
I buy paperback because I love having the book in my hand. But
Sorry,
a lot of people.
Could you repeat everything you said after Amazon because the connection just froze for like a few seconds?
I just gotta. I'm holding. Are we good now?
I think.
So,
yeah, I see you. I hear you. So you just froze after like Amazon
bestseller.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was an Amazon bestseller up until about 2 weeks ago on Kindle. And I don't know what I did now that made people mad that they're not buying my book on Kindle. but it is, but it's, that's the way people consume books now. I love paperback books. I love, actually having the book in my hand, but I listen to a lot of books because I'm on the road all the time.
Yeah, same here.
So,
and the great thing is you can start listening and then you can continue to read and go back and forth, and that's
exactly.
yeah.
And so lots of people are reading on their phones, they're reading on their tablets or on their computers while they travel. It's easier, it's lighter. You can fit more books onto your phone than into your bag. And I also recorded the Audible.
Oh wow, you did help.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's me. I had to audition.
Oh, really?
Yes, I did. I'm auditioning for my own book, but I get it because not everybody is a good reader.
You just don't have that Mirna feel. I don't know.
I'm like, okay, but I gave them very specific instructions.
It's not authentic. It's not authentic. We can't take you. I'm sorry.
It's hilarious because but I'm the only one that can. It's my story, but there are people that are really great narrators. But I said very specific. I was like, this person has to be able to, to code switch from like Black English to standard English to with a slight New York accent. And when she gets angry, the New York accent really comes out. And she has to be able to speak Spanish without an American accent. And I was very, very specific. And so I think they were like, okay.
There's only you left, so. Okay. So how long did that take, recording the book?
The recording it was a week-long process.
Okay. So how many times do you have to repeat like the passages? It's like
after like the first day where you're kind of getting into your rhythm, I had to do a lot of retakes on that first day. But after you establish a rhythm, you establish your sort of workspace and how far you want to be away from the computer, how close, if you want a pillow against your stomach because your stomach is rumbling, after you figure that out, after the first couple of hours, it becomes, oh, okay, I can do this. And sometimes, it's because you work with an engineer, somebody who's editing as you're doing it. It's so incredible.
Oh, okay.
And then you also work with a director.
Oh.
And so, and the director is often somebody that is the professional TV director, like a radio director. And so, they'll stop you. Okay, that was really high on that. Or you're sounding a little hoarse, go take a break, come back. Or this wasn't as emotional as the writing is. So let's work on that.
Okay.
It's really cool. My background is in theater and opera and stuff like that. So I know I can do it. And I knew that it was going to take a lot of takes. And I hadn't actually read my book in its entirety beforehand. So it was new to me. So I would, so that was it was a really, really cool, very different kind of experience. And I actually got paid for that too.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Even better.
And while you were reading it, did you have moments where it's like, that doesn't really sound well when you read it out loud?
Absolutely. And every single author that reads their own book goes through that. And I was like, that syntax wasn't the best. Or, I could have described this in a different way. And sometimes if it's a word choice thing, that's like a similar word choice, you can actually change it, but they have to put a note at the end. We did change some things or if there was a grammatical error somewhere that I hadn't caught, that nobody had caught. And I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to change it. And I changed it.
Okay.
And then at the end, he's like, you changed it. I was like, I can't have that bad grammar because it sounds like it's so egregious. And I just can't have that. He's like, I get it. Because some people do, they notice it and they're like, oh my God, I don't want people to think I'm uneducated. So yeah, but and then at the end, they're finished with it. All they have to do is to do some splicing and to take out any other kinds of noises and stuff.
Yeah,
but you're in a
chapter
professional
breaks
studio.
and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
and they add a little music. This is Audible, or the little voice but it's really cool. I haven't listened to it.
My next question. Did you listen to that one at least? So you didn't read your book, but
no,
you
I don't
listen
want
to it.
to.
Come on. Come on.
I don't want to.
Maybe I'll let you know how it is.
You let me know
but
how
it's interesting.
I did.
Interesting. A few months back, I talked to another some person who also published a book both in print and as an audiobook, and he said, "No, I'm not going to listen to that one. No chance." But he didn't record it himself. There was someone else who was like, "Nah, not interested in that. So just going to ruin it for me probably." So cool. And then how did the promotional part go? I mean. Was it all hands off for you? Like you just collected your check?
It's not hands off. It's not hands off. It is a very sort of intense process because my publishing company is actually owned by Amazon. So the cool thing about that was that we had all of those Amazon built-in things. Other people enjoyed blah 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 blah, and so your book would come up under that. But I definitely I had sponsors that sponsored my book tour.
Okay.
Merrill and REI both sponsored my book tour, and so like I got to go around speaking about my book, showing the video, and that was really cool. Not everybody gets to go on a book tour,
sure,
and so that definitely helped sell books. I had to be very sort of vigilant and busy on my own social media channels and going to speaking engagements and selling the book and doing book signings and stuff. And it's pretty stressful. It's really cool that I'm able to do that. Like I actually have a book. I wrote it. It's published. People are buying it. People want to find out more. They're wondering when my next book is coming out. So that's really cool. But it's definitely not hands off, like you have a say in most things. Like, we're going to do this promotion in Australia. We need you to sign off on it. We're going to do this promotion on Kindle, or we're going to do this, whatever it is. We need you to sign off on it. We need you to like spread the word and stuff. And so I haven't been really great about spreading the word because a lot of times in podcasts, I don't even talk about my book because I forgot I wrote it. Because there's so many other things going on. And so it's really awesome. It's would I do things differently? Will I do different things differently with my next book, like in terms of the way I talk about it and the way I sort of spread the word? Absolutely. Will I edit my own stuff differently before I hand it in as my manuscript? Absolutely. And will it be shorter? Hopefully.
I think it was. It's not too long if it's not getting boring, and that's the point. And some books like they are very short, but now they could be shorter still because it's just boring. They repeat themselves like in every chapter. And it's like, oh, geez, get to the point for fuck's sake. But no, certainly wasn't the case with yours. So.
Thank you.
Oh, as a book critic. Cool. No, okay, that's amazing. So, when's your adventure book coming out?
I have to write it. So probably
what are you
2
doing?
years.
Get started.
Well, I know. Next week is the week. That's the week I've slated to write my proposal.
Okay,
so hopefully something will happen. And like all the stuff that I'm doing now is all research for. Since I was named a National Geographic Adventure of the Year.
I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yes, yeah.
Should have included in your introduction.
So that's it's part of my identity now, and I've always been very adventurous anyway. So like I want to bring adventure to people who think it's not accessible to them. And,
like whom?
Like to people like I'm thinking about people in my home community. Who think that they think that adventure is going like climbing a mountain or something, but there's so many other things that we can do that sort of explore the fullness of humanity and the fullness of the world. That doesn't have to be ice climbing or going to Everest or doing those like really extreme things, like going to a park in your neighborhood and like digging for worms. That's an adventure. That's what I used to do as a kid.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I'm not going to be digging for worms anymore, but I do want to show people that you can, wherever you are and whatever skin you're in, whatever body you're in, that you can have fun and you can explore. So, that'll be sort of the focal point of the book.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Mirna, I want to ask you two last questions, and I'm always asking everyone the same two questions. And the first question is, this is a series of interviews, podcast about extraordinary people. And who do you consider to be extraordinary? Who is something who is inspiring, or is changing the world, or whatever you would consider extraordinary?
I had to think about this a lot because there's so many people that are so cool and that are changing the world in both small and big ways. And so the person that right now, other than my mom, who I just admire so much and who's really sort of quiet about it, is my coach. My coach is named Mike Errett, and he has run across the United States twice.
Okay.
And at every mile, he did it to honor veterans, to U.S. like military veterans. Mm-hmm. And at every mile, he stopped and planted a flag for fallen soldiers.
Okay.
And so, that's 3,000 something miles across the United States. And then he also did it from north to south.
Wow. Okay.
And then he wasn't quite finished his mileage, so he went back home to Idaho and ran around this field for 300 times, planting more flags at every mile. And he's an incredible person because he's in a documentary about runners over the age of 50 that just came out on Amazon Prime a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And
what's the name of the documentary?
And what's the name of the
documentary?
I don't know. I've seen it. I've watched it many times. I'll get that information to you.
Okay.
But he's also he's an incredible coach, and he also grew up he had a leg deformity when he was born, and his feet were turned in, his legs were turned in, and he was told that he would never walk regularly or run, but had the surgery, and now this guy's doing Hard Rock 100, which is one of the hardest, most difficult, most crazy 100 milers in the world. And he's in his late 50s, and he's still kicking it. He is still strong as hell. He's no nonsense. But he's also very loving and compassionate. When you, as I told you, when he's going to send me my training plan, I was like, what is this guy thinks I'm crazy? I can't do this, and he's very high expectations of other people and of himself. It's he's one of my heroes. And I've only known him for a short time. I don't think he's someone typical that you would, you might look at this guy and think he's just an older white guy in Walmart or whatever. But you don't know that he's done Marathon des Sables a couple of times. You don't know that he's done Hard Rock and that he's done these crazy 150 mile races. Because he just looks like this humble old guy.
Okay.
And he's amazing. He's
cool.
amazing. That's my person.
Wow. Okay. I'll look him up. That's cool. And my last question, and then that would be the end of our conversation today. What's your message to everyone who's watching this or listening to this?
I have many messages.
Go ahead. We have time.
But what resonates to me right now is kindness and gratitude. Expressing kindness and gratitude in as many forms as you can. Because I often find myself when I get annoyed with myself or with other people, I'm not always kind and I'm not always grateful. So it's a practice that I am working on, that I think other people should work on and need to work on is practicing kindness in everything that you do, kindness to yourself, kindness to others, kindness to people you don't even know, and expressing gratitude in everything that you do. So that, I mean, and that's all. And I think that encapsulates everything that I do, my work, my life, my community, my family, because I am incredibly grateful for their presence in my life. I'm grateful for my community. I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk to you today. And all that gratitude, that it forces me to be kind all the time. Mm-hmm. So there you go. That's what it is today.
Mirna, thank you so much for your time. It's been a wonderful conversation. Mm-hmm. And I'll get in touch when you have your other book out. Let's talk about
all
that.
Right. A couple of years, but thank you so much.
Talk soon. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Here comes the sunshine and burns away clouds like they never were.